Hey everybody, welcome to Bucket Man Scouting. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why the film matters. So, there's a reason why my channel, Bucket Man Scouting, is based on film. Because the film shows a lot of things that you really don't see on Sundays. And, there's a reason why coaches, including myself, that's why we watch the All-22 film. We watch the All-22 film to critique players. The coaches in the NFL, the coaches in college football watch the All-22, and even in the high school rank. We watch the All-22 to come up with game plans on the opponent that we're facing. And I think that's what a lot of fans and I think that's what a lot of people miss the boat on when it comes to watching the film. There was a player growing up who I really enjoyed watching, and you don't get these players anymore in the NFL, a guy like Luke Kuechly. And no, that doesn't make me a Carolina Panthers fan. I can enjoy watching other players and enjoy watching their game playing it the right way. It doesn't make me a fan of the Carolina Panthers. But Luke Kuechly was one of the best middle linebackers in the game of football when he was, even at Boston College, he was just an absolute stud. And the one thing that he predicated himself on was watching the All-22 film, and there's a video out there that I'll put in the link in the description below of him talking about why the film is very important. And the one thing that I've integrated into my school, the school that I coach for, the linebackers that I coach for, the one thing that I've integrated is the All-22 film. And it's different from the NFL and college film. We go to huddle.com to get the film. And the reason why I've integrated the film to these kids is because, number one, it gives them a head start on what, the expectation is going to the college and NFL game, and also how you can get better as a player. You can watch your technique over and over again. You can watch the same play over and over again. And when I watched the film, I watched the film at least 5 to 6 times. And that's why it's so tiring to do these film breakdowns, especially on the NFL, because the NFL product to me is more of a PR firm, pro football focus firm, hype firm, storytelling firm. It's more like a WWE type situation. The product has gone so far down the tubes that you don't get the players like a Ray Lewis anymore. You don't get players like Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu and Steve Atwater, TJ Ward, Dookie Anachos, Raheem Morris. You don't get those type of players anymore. Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, Randy Gradishar, Tom Jackson. Because the sport has been so pussified, in my opinion, and that that might hurt people's feelings when I say that, but you can't disagree on that front with what I'm talking about. You can't. There is no proper tackling anymore. When I'm watching the All-22 film on the Broncos, their tackling techniques are so horrific. And I've pointed that out in my film breakdowns. And, I challenge anybody, what other Bronco content creator outside of myself, Mile High Bubble, and Denver Broncos Mile High View actually provides you the All-22 film? Because, I bust my ass doing these all 22 films. It's not easy to do. And, do I want to get paid for it? Yeah, because, I have a plethora of other things I have to do, and I still provide this to the public. This isn't, and I've stated this time and time again, this isn't a fan-centric channel. This is a football educational channel. This is a prospect scouting channel. This is a film breakdown channel. And, at the end of the day, the one thing that I've been guilty of is attacking the fans. And I will absolutely say that right here, right now. I absolutely am guilty of attacking the fans because, to be perfectly honest with you, there's half of the fan base that actually wants to be educated on the game of football. And then there's the other half of the fan base that only cares about Pro Football Focus, only cares about their fans' status, only cares about watching highlights, and they consider that the All-22 film, which it's not. That's why it's called highlights. And they look at these ESPN stats, and they base their opinions around it. I'm like, you have to have stats with context. When was it okay to be so fucking lazy? I mean, I'm not built on being lazy. And I think that's what the NFL's become. It's become a lazy product. It's become a unwatchable product. And that's why a lot of people watching the football, watching the NFL growing up, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you don't get those fans anymore because they're just done watching this princess quarterback driven product. I mean, that's all the fans care about is quarterback, receiver, corner. And I'm like, there's a reason why it's called a 53-man roster plus practice squad players. And I have driven that point home time and time again. And the film, when you watch the film, it opens your eyes in a plethora of other things. You talk about the Broncos, how they have a top 5 defense. I don't believe they do, because there are still problems that you have the offense not capitalizing on. And that's the offense's fault for not capitalizing on the opportunities that the Broncos are giving them. Number one, you still don't have a defensive front that provides pressure on the quarterback. And when you do provide pressure on the quarterback, either Nick Bonitto's unblocked, you have a quarterback that holds the ball more than 5 seconds. I mean, that's not a recipe for success for future years to come. I'm sorry, that's not the way that the game is played. You have to be technically sound on how you are getting those sacks. Are you getting the sacks provided with the push up the middle? Because the good teams around the NFL, and you don't get a lot of good teams around the NFL, but the teams that have gone to Super Bowls, that have been legitimate Super Bowl contenders, they have that push up the middle. They have the line solidified. The Broncos don't have that. And I've pointed that out time and time again. I've been pointing that out for almost 8-10 years. The Broncos aren't into player development. And, you compare and contrast here. You look at Nebraska. Yeah, Nebraska's been shit, and I'm not going to sit up here and sugarcoat it. They've been absolutely god-awful. But the one thing that Trev Alberts, the athletic director, and Matt Rhule both have in common, and you have to have the same vision, is they believe in player development. They're not going to go into the transfer portal like Deion at Colorado and get all these, just get half of its roster in the transfer portal. You actually have to develop these high school recruits that you're going out to recruit. You actually have to develop these players because those are the depth and the lifeline of your program. And the Broncos, on the other hand, they're not into player development. You have Justin Simmons, who's overrated. You have Kareem Jackson, who gets beat by better route runners in the NFL. And I'm watching the film against Keenan Allen, and this Keenan Allen's getting wide open, and you have Justin Herbert that can't hit the side of the barn, like Jimmy Garoppolo last year. You don't get that. You don't get consistent play anymore from anybody. You don't. And Chopped Liver was ahead of this before anybody else. He was saying that the gap is closing of the Broncos and 31 other teams. It just is. It just is. And the All-22 film shows that. That's why the All-22 film matters. And I've been saying that for years. I don't go and tell my players, and I don't kiss my players' ass. But I'm not going to go to my players and be like, yeah, do you see what the stats are telling you? Do you see what the highlight reels are showing you? Like, that's not how you coach. That's not how you help players develop. And again, I just think that is so lost now, that people don't care about development. They don't care about rebuilding organizations because nobody has the patience anymore. Nobody has the patience to be like, okay, I want to have better players than the players that I have now, a la Justin Simmons, a la Josie Jewell, Alex Singleton. I want to have the elite of the elite. And you're not going to get that unless you develop these players. And again, like I said in the beginning of the video, the coaching in the NFL isn't what it used to be. You don't get the Alex Gibbs offensive lines anymore. You don't get, the linebacker cores that you had in the 70s, 80s, 90s. You don't get that anymore. Early 2000s. You don't get that anymore. I mean, it's all, just what Pro Football Focus says and these agents pay out. Like, I don't I don't like that type of product. I mean, I want a genuine, let the players play, let the players hit type product. I don't like the product that the NFL has come to. I don't like it. Like, it's not enjoyable. Like, there are teams that I watched, and it's just like, I can't watch it anymore because it is such a bad product on the field. And that goes with the Broncos. The Broncos aren't a great product. They're not dominating these teams. They're not. They're not dominating these teams. They're capitalizing on the opposing teams screwing themselves. And you have, this Chargers game is a perfect example. It was such a horrific game. You had the Texans game was such a bad game. Like, it was god awful. It was terrible. Like, if you're going to sit up there and say, man, those games were dominant, I'm like, what game are you watching? Are you playing way too much Madden 23? Because you could be dominant in Madden 23, but that's not reality. This is reality. So I just wanted to come on here and kind of just dispel the notion that the film doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter. The film does matter. Because, at the end of the day, when you talk about the All-22 film, if you're saying the film doesn't matter, then you are not telling me, then you're saying that players don't watch the film, that coaches don't watch the film. You're not just telling me that. You're telling everybody else that. If you're saying that the film doesn't matter. Because I bust my ass doing these film breakdowns. I don't just, put it out there and put out a certain propaganda piece. That's not what we do here at Bucketman Scouting, Coach Bucketman. I actually coach the game of football. Yeah, it's at the high school level, but you have to start somewhere. But you know what? At the end of the day, the kids that I coach are getting D1 offers. They weren't getting that before I got there because I demand a level of excellence. And you know what? I'm proud of these kids that I coach that are actually in the off season that are dedicating themselves to watching film and wanting to become better student athletes. That is something that I can hitch my wagon behind. Players that actually want to be coached, players that actually want to get better, and not listen to what their stats are telling them, not watching Pro Football Focus, not watching any of that. Actually getting down to the nitty-gritty, rolling up your sleeves and doing the hard work, and that's what we do here at Bucketman Scouting. We're not lazy individuals over here. So, let me know what you guys think about this video, why the film breakdown matters.